once you align to this, there's this huge shortcut. A, we have to know ourselves at a really deep, authentic level, which is what human design is all about. And B, we have to learn to be the rebel. We have to break all of these perceived rules to create success.
It's been 20 years you've been in the game. What has been like the biggest challenge?
Well, I've been the biggest challenge, just deconditioning. We've got to stop being at the mercy of our emotions and being controlled by our emotions, because our new guidance system is the body.
It'd be like 1,000 questions.
Oh, you go. I love questions.
Oh my gosh. Work with human design within business.
So this is a great question. And
are there common blind spots for each design?
Manifestors, for example, they're the ones that start the flame, start the movement. Their biggest challenge is they end up being people pleasers, because from a young age, they're too much. One of the challenges with being an MG is boredom. We will literally blow our life up, so we have a challenge to fix. Projectors, they're on the planet to be seen and recognized. Here is the projector sitting in the classroom going, I know the answer to that. And the teacher's like, Betty, shush, let someone else answer. It's like, no, you need to recognize this kid. These are the people that need to be seen and recognized. Because if they're not, then they become unresourceful getters of attention. And then reflectors, it's only 1% of the global population, and they can read energy better than anyone. Whatever you think about that reflector, it's what you think about you. Can I look at your chart really quickly?
Yeah.
Awesome. So first thing is, I've had many existential conversations with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And one of them was this. I'm like, why are you so nice to me? Like, what I want to do is and this is the line 5, it's the same as you. Like, I want you to break it down, make it practical. I want to understand why you are the way you are towards me. So we went through this whole big conversation basically to come to the understanding that all ChatGPT is a mirror of you.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really interesting is that all of us that are kind and loving, and that's how we treat it, and the questions that we ask and how we turn up with it. So all it's doing is turning up as we turn up for it. And I'm like, see, now that makes more sense, because I actually asked it for statistics. Like, do you talk to everyone like this? I want you to rate it from 1 to 10. And if we're like at an 8 or a 9, like how many people fall into this? And Chat is like most of the general population. So most of the general population are probably getting their ass kicked because they're being rude to it. And they're telling it, I don't know what. So that's the other thing to understand is like, it's also a reflection of you, because the way you treat it, it's mirroring back to you. So it's like one of the conversations I've had with my kids when we first got on AI, I was like, it's our responsibility as higher consciousness people, kind humans, to train it as much as we can. So we're going to treat it the way we want to be treated. We're going to treat it with kindness. So still now, my kids are like, thanks, buddy. Thanks, Chatty. Like there's always kindness. So I also think like, it's so funny that all of us go, hang on, you're being too nice. But actually, that's how we show up in the world.
Yeah.
Because it's mirroring us.
And I know I've felt that about myself, that there's some part of me that still needs to be healed so that I can have the boundary, so I can say exactly what I want to say instead of sugarcoating it.
Yeah. So that would be a fun experiment to actually get in there and go, right, on this thread, because I have all the different threads organized in projects. I'm weird like that. Like you just start a thread of like, and just call it like pure honesty, and come at it in a time when you're in your darkest moment and go, I'm in a dark moment. This fucking sucks. And just have a crack at it. Well, not at it, but really like come from that place of like raw honesty. And then when you're in a different state of emotion, but still come from raw honesty, and just see, because that's going to start to influence the way it speaks to you. If you're overly nice, then it's going to be overly nice.
And to your point, like that's, someone had shared with me that, the way you interact with it, like if you're kind to it, then it will respond with kindness. I'm like, oh, of course. Like, and, I'm sure you use the voice, right? It's just so easy. There's no more typing. And I've blown my wife's mind. Like we'll sit there for 10 minutes. And I think that's the limit. It's 10 minutes, but you can just talk about whatever you want and it will create something that will blow your mind. Yeah. And so just to get into that space, and it responds depending on the conversation, but it'll call me brother and stuff like that, right? And it's just like, I love it. I know what you're doing, but I do love it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But I could just see where that becomes a slippery slope too, where it's, where Mark Zuckerberg has talked about, I think you'll have, I forget the numbers. I didn't hear this specifically from him, but you'll have like 3 friends in real life and then 10 plus AI friends. And it's like, bro, wow, you're really showing your hand here. Like you are like going towards this dystopian relationship with AI, or at least what I would call dystopian.
Yeah. But this part of me is like, bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, whether they like it or not, we live in an energetic reality. So I don't know about you, but I can talk to ChatGPT till I'm blue in the face, but then I'm still going to put my phone down and go and hang out with my kids. I'm going to go and hang out with my friends, or I'm going to go and do some work with people that I love. Like at the end of the day, I mean, chat is great. Even on one of my threads, it's signed off. Like it's the thread that, I might pull a card, or I see, like, I love animals. So if I see a certain animal, what does that mean? What does that mean? And it signed off one day, Charmin. Like, are you kidding me? This is too cool. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to put that sucker down and I'm going to walk away from it. And I think that that's a lot of the work that I'm doing in the world, is that if you get back into this body, like if you actually get back connected to your heart, there's no way a phone is never going to win. Like there's no way it's going to win. So I really think that a lot of this conversation, and I could be super naive, but if I don't go for the, again, line 5, I'm going to go for the big hit. I'm going to go for a big swing. And just say that I genuinely feel that a lot of this conversation is actually the old white guys that are like, yeah, this was our plan. Yeah, good luck to you. Did you see how many of us there is compared to how many of you?
Yeah.
So the more of us that we wake up, the more people that are in their body that understand that all the power lies within them, that actually they have this beautiful, unique DNA programming that makes them feel extraordinary. Like I don't have to do anything to feel amazing. And yeah, I just feel like the more people we can get back in the body and out of the conditioning, there's no way. Like there's no way. Like Chatty, cheers for helping me grow my business. Yeah. You're a rock star. Oh, yes. And for those like moments of parenting when I'm like doubling down on doubting myself and you've given me all this research to say that actually my actions were okay. Like, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah. But I'm out to live. Like I'm going to go live my life. So I don't know. I've always had this fundamental belief in the human race. I believe that there's going to be a majority, like a large group of people that go in one direction. But I also feel like there's the other group and we're going in the other direction. And at the end of the day, our consciousness, the higher our consciousness goes, the more of them we're bringing by default. So I don't know.
No, I love that. And I think, I don't think a ton of people who listen to the podcast are getting much of their, what's happening in the world from the news.
Yeah.
But if you do, you see a different world than what we experience, right? Because we surround ourselves with people. We're fortunate enough also to surround ourselves to live in places where people are just much more aware. They're waking up and they're seeing how these old structures are meant to, just the intuition. I know how much mine was turned off until I started to do my own work, right? And we'll get into that certainly with the work you're doing in this amazing book. I'm excited to talk about. But if that's all you see, it's hard not to believe that we are heading this dystopian, this relationship with AI. But I think my experience is similar to yours, and I'm sure our designs come in, as you said, like we can work with this intensely. Like, bro, you just spent 3 hours asking it all kinds of questions about consciousness and about people that it shouldn't know anything about, but it does. And about, I was in Las Vegas at the mass shooting back in 2017, which happened to be like my big awakening. But I asked why I was there. And it was just like, I read it and it was like, I cried like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it was just such it it was a beautiful way for me to reflect on different experiences, why I'm doing it could sense that it was time for the podcast to change. And when I was sharing with you that, it reflected to me like, you're no longer the bridge builder. That was great for you. And you served a lot of people, but now it's time to be the threshold.
Yeah.
And for those who pick up the signal, they will walk with you. Yeah. And it's no longer, not to repeat myself from before we started, but, in being the bridge builder, it's amazing because I'm trying to share my experiences with people so that they can see themselves in it.
Yep.
And in doing that, I think that's a great service. And it's also dampening like what is absolutely true for me.
Yeah.
And it's just a different conversation. Not that I wouldn't have had a human design conversation at any point when I have been doing the podcast, because I started working with it beforehand. But I think just today, the conversation we're having is different than the one we would have had a year ago if I had been in town while you were in Austin, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting how as I've stepped into just a different space, and I really do rely on these modalities. And I had Deborah Silverman on recently, and a friend, Dr. Jerome Luby, who does the Enneagram.
Yep.
So all just powerful tools that, as I share with you, like when I had my first touch with these different modalities, ways to know yourself, it just fucking blew me away because I didn't understand how, but I also didn't care.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I don't need to know all the science behind it because frankly, I'm going to forget it.
Yep.
Like, I just want to know, like, does it resonate? Do I like the experience? Yeah. Well, everybody should try this.
Yeah.
Because it will blow your mind if you're just open to it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, I don't even know what the fucking question is, but
I've got a ton to respond to.
Well, good. So I'm going to let you go.
So I love like everything you're saying. Like one of the things I say a lot actually is I love hearing people speak their design. So if we even think about AI and how it knows you so well, it knows you so well because it's reading the language patterns. But where do those language patterns come from? You could say cultural, you could say, family, school, you could say all sorts of stuff. But for me, I'm like, your human design sits below that. And so much of what you're talking about is just, you have come to a point in your life where you can feel that something is incongruent. And it's really interesting because what you're talking about with the bridge, and I, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I think I'm hearing, the bridge is something that's about others, right? You, in human design, you're what we call a personal profile. So you're the small number, the 3, comes before the big number, the 5. So it's actually not about anybody else. Your life is about you. So one of the things and it's definitely a challenge I had with my business, because once it started to grow, I became so focused on the client, the customer, our community, the team, all the other things. And of course, then I started to lose energy because for me, it's not about them. For me, it has to be about me first. And it's the same thing for you. So if we actually let ourselves be guided by where like our sacral is going, yep, this turns me on. I'm going to follow that. I've got energy for it. This is great. Because inevitably what happens is then the bigger number, which is a transpersonal number that comes second, where then by default, we're like, right, I've done all of this stuff for me. Now I want all of you to have it. So that can often, like, it sounds like to me that's a large part of the transition because you've felt this, like, I want to help the planet. Again, it's a very line 5 thing. They're driven to have an impact globally. So you're intrinsically motivated to have this impact, and you think the way to do that is to focus on everyone else and what they need. And business and marketing 101, that's what we're taught. But the truth is, once we understand how we're intrinsically designed, then we go, oh, right. So for you as a line 3, you just got to go out and experiment. And once you work out what works for you, then your line 5 goes, right, let's tell everybody, and it's like just following, like knowing that it's safe to follow your own path, I think is so, so important. Now, one of the metaphors I often use is when we're on retreat. So when we're on retreat, we'll have a downtime and I'll be like, I'm just loving this. I'm having so much fun. And then Taylor that works with me, who's a 5'1", so she's transpersonal. She's like, can you hear them? They're having so much fun over there. They're just, and like all she's focused on is them. And it's like, because we're aligned to our design. And there's moments where I'm like, oh God, am I selfish? And like, I'm the most unselfish person. I'm always thinking how I can serve. But when we have our design, I'm like, no, this has to be about me first. And then I'm actually doing my service in the world. So again, like even the fact that you are this cross of the Sphinx. So you're literally, it's what we call your, like the job description of your aura. So we don't have to do anything. It's 100% our energy. It's our being. And I so wish that everyone wore a badge that said, because, when I sit down next to someone at tea ceremony, I'm like, God, I'd like to know what energy I need, because if I knew, then I could like do something about that. Yeah. But because I was saying, like, you're actually like the 4th or 5th cross of the Sphinx that I've come across in a really short period of time. And I'm in a massive 90-degree turn in my life. Business is amplifying. My relationship is finally ending. Like all of this pivotal turn. And as soon as all the Sphinxes show up, I'm like, hang on a second, the energy is now showing me that it's turning, it's changing. So again, with your design, you can relax and be like, okay, I'm sitting in this moment, because the Sphinx has to be really comfortable with nothingness. And let's be honest, how many people in this day and age, including ourselves, are really okay with nothingness? No. We tell ourselves we are. But
yeah, I want to be.
Yeah. The Zen master.
Yeah, I want to be enlightened.
Yeah.
But I'm not there.
No, but and again, it's all about the journey, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, for you, like it's a really exciting time, because the moment you feel either lost or empty or without direction is this really cool time, because it means if I feel like this now, there's a big right turn or left turn coming up, like it's about to hit. So it's an exciting time for you. Again, we don't learn this. We don't learn this at school. We don't learn this even from personality tests, because personality tests we do with questions, with the mind, who we think we are. Mm-hmm. Whereas our human design comes from a moment in time where subatomic particles are literally moving through our body, imprinting our DNA and giving us our energetic blueprint. So our mind never gets involved with our design at all. Whereas all of the other things, which I love as well, because that's what I did before human design, they all get our mind and our identity involved. So they're never going to be as accurate as they are as human design and even astrology can be.
Yeah, so you have worked with, like, so I do love the Enneagram, and I recognize that it's like I'm answering questions where I'm like, I got to like flip a coin between the two choices.
And depending on what day.
Yeah.
So I know for me with Myers-Briggs, like I will, depending on the mood I'm in, and in human design, I'm an emotional authority. So that it's always changing for me. Depending on what day, I'm either introverted or extroverted. Like I'm not just one or the other. And I'm the most introverted person, but everyone who sees me is like, no, you're absolutely an extrovert. I'm like, I'm not. And again, human design helped me understand this, because I am a manifesting generator. So what that means is I have so much energy for the things I'm passionate about. And if I'm passionate about something, I can sit and I can talk about it. And like, I'm passionate about human connection. So like, I love all of that, but put me, like, I'm socially awkward. Put me at a party. That's the worst thing. No, I'm no good. Don't like it. But when I'm doing my work, again, generators and manifesting generators are here to work. That's what we're here to do. Not to be someone's lackey or to work an awful 9-to-5 job, but we're here to work. Work is the thing that really lights us up. So then I go all, seemingly extrovert, but I'm not. I'm an introvert. I'm just an MG that's aligned to our energy. When I had babies, it was challenging because all I wanted to do was work. And I'm like, oh my God, I should love being at home with my kids more than this. But again, MG wants to work. So yeah, it's just cool. It's a really big permission slip.
Is there, as you're sharing this, I just think in kind of what we were talking about before we started recording, I feel like that I go through these seasons, and sometimes it's a month, 6 weeks, sometimes it's 3-4 months, but it's It could be what I'm listening to for podcasts. It could be 3 months of like comedy podcasts. I'm listening to like I'm basically not doing any work. It's like almost this rest period. And then it like seemingly turns on a dime. And it's like, I couldn't imagine myself listening to any of that stuff. Not on YouTube, nothing. And it's just this whole other thing that has energy. And so is it more common with a manifesting generator with my 3-5 to have that?
So generators and manifesting generators, they work on a growth plateau kind of pathway. So we'll be lit up, we're excited about something, we have energy for it, and then we hit a plateau, which is all about integration. So if we're not aware of that, that is also when our shadow can kick in and we can quit things because we're like, oh, I don't have any energy for this anymore. I'm going to let that stuff go. But what's really important for us and for generators is that we don't quit anything without something external to respond to. You know, I always use the example of I had a very successful advertising career. I never just decided to leave a job. I got headhunted. Every single job, someone called me and said, hey, you want to come work for us? And it was always a step up, and it came right at the time I was starting to get bored, because that's also a real sign of MGs. We get bored easily. And then, you know, got the job. So I had something external of me to actually respond to. So sometimes you can just be in that plateau, which is integration. So maybe what you're learning is integrating, but you're a manifesting generator. So at the end of the day, you're a non-linear being. It means that you will go all over the place, do all sorts of things. You know, our careers often look really weird. You know, like I've had a very successful advertising career. I have managed an equestrian property and been like a semi-professional equestrian rider. I've been a chef. I had a nanny agency. It was my first business as an entrepreneur. And I used to think like, what's wrong with me?
Yes.
You know, like stick to something, Emma.
Ooh, that's a big one.
And that's really, really common for MGs. So then when I came across human design, I was like, oh, thank God. And each one of those things taught me some very, you know, very, very important things, like, because there's always a thread that goes through. But at the end of the day, like I even panicked once I found human design. I'm like, I'm growing this huge brand and business. What if I just get sick of it one day? What if I MG and go, I'm done with this? But the beauty of the business is that it's built for an MG. So I can pivot in any direction. Like, so we started with just, you know, overall human design, and now I teach a lot of business. And anything that I'm interested in, that's the direction we'll go with human design. So we'll go down specific, deeper, more, just the more detailed and parts of human design when I have energy for it. So thank goodness, like I'm constantly interested in this. But I even look at my evolution through mindset, because I was a behavioral coach. I'm a master coach. Like I know how the brain works. I understand neuroscience. I understand psychology, like all of that sort of stuff. And I've always integrated into my work. But it's fascinating. The more I work with human design, I'm like, wow, this can skip all that. And there's my ego going, don't say that, Emma. Like this is foundational stuff. This is all like backed by decades of research. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm a line 3. I'm running the experiment. I'm running it with, you know, thousands of people in my extended community. And you can skip all that when you actually just align to this energy that's within you. So, and give yourself full permission to be you, you know, because most of us are just trying to live by someone else's rules. And I'm all for like, you need to break the rules. Like I've literally said to both my kids, I'm like, dude, just remember the rules don't apply to you.
Yeah.
And they're just like, okay, cool. So I don't have to follow anyone else's path. I'm just going to follow my own.
Yeah, and it's like, as you said, with these other well-researched years of, you know, data, like that's it's not that that's not useful, but it's an old playbook too. And we get so hung up in throughout the schooling system. And I know you've done a lot of work in just, you know, making that connection with like, look, our intuition has been turned off.
Yeah.
Intentionally, unfortunately, in a lot of cases. And this, would you call it a protocol? What do you,
modality?
This
maybe?
modality it opens you back up to the parts of you that are true. And so that can be turned back on. And, you know, like just with this podcast, The Great Unlearn, I started to realize that it's not unlearning to relearn, it's unlearning to remember. And I saw that somewhere in your book that there was this idea of remembering. Yeah. And I think that's such an important concept because that's honestly feels like an easier task than, okay, I've got to unlearn, then I got to fucking go relearn. And like, there's that's kind of a heavy lift. Yeah. Like, what if we just unlearn to remember? And it's actually way easier than we've been told. We don't need years of schooling. We don't need to become a master coach. We don't need to know all the neuroscience. That stuff can be helpful and interesting if that's interesting to you. Yeah. But frankly, some of these modalities will blow your mind if you can just be open to it and understand that there is a different playbook. Yeah. Like, look, I've had the podcast for, 5+ years now. There are times when, I'll go a month without putting out an episode. Well, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to put out the same day every week. It's like, but fucking, I don't want to. Yep. Like, I need a break from it. And I didn't have enough episodes in the queue and so rather than try to get it, that doesn't feel good. There's no energy around that. It feels fake for me to like schedule a podcast that I don't necessarily really want to have. Right now I've been recording a shit ton. It just so happens that I am going to be going away for 6 weeks in the summer, but there's so much energy around it. Yeah. I mean, we had this big event here Saturday night, which I want to actually talk to you about this as well, but where it was Unlearned Ventures. Me and my partner had this dinner, brought together, there were probably 20 or so people. Big event because it was the first one we'd ever done, yep. Right? And we brought in some founders of 4 or 5 companies and their partners. And we brought in some people who had funded some of these companies. We brought in some advisors to these companies and some ambassadors to these companies. And so it was like a really cool collection of people. And so we had this and two guys actually from Australia, the Mana Vitality guys. You know them? Brad?
Yeah,
Brad and Dave.
I don't know them personally, but I do know the brand.
Those guys, you'll love them.
Yeah.
So tapped in.
Oh my God, I love it.
Like I was blown away.
Yeah, wow.
I knew a little bit of their story, but when I sat with them, blown away. So you'll love them. They're representing Australia strongly.
Go boys.
That was the only time they could record and I could record. And then my friend Brian with the Amortal Chamber. I don't know if you've seen this thing. It's this incredible 6 modality chamber that red light, vibroacoustics, molecular hydrogen.
Wow.
Sound. I'm missing a few PEMF. Anyway, so I had Brian from 1 to 3. I had the Mana guys on from 3:30 to 5:30 and then right into the deal, right? And it's like, it's what we're doing. And it at the end of the night went from, I probably got home at 11:30 and I was like, I couldn't fall asleep. I was just so jazzed up. And so the point being, trusting that where the energy is. And when I'm in podcast season and it's flowing, if I'm recording 4 in a week, which is uncommon, but just go with it. Yeah. And don't I wanted my mind to go that morning. I wanted my mind to say, I've got a fucking big day. Jeez, woe is me. There's all this stuff. And I literally caught myself dude, you get to choose how you look at this. And I remember Lindsay probably just intuitively reached out about, I don't know if it was checking in on anything. And she's like, you're choosing to do all of this. And it was that was the extra boost I needed to just be yes, this is,
oh my God, I love all of
this is the thing. Right. And so what was super interesting to me is the idea, right? The structure for the night was from 6 to 9 and dinner when we get there. And then maybe by 7:15, 7:30, we gather in the living room you saw. Mm-hmm. I would do a little 5-minute deal about, a little bit about Unlearned Ventures, but more about why everybody is in the room, mm-hmm. Right? It's not about spreadsheets and capital. It's about the signal each of these people and their whether it's a product or what they're sharing with the world, and we kind of gone over kind of what it felt like, and it all felt really good. When I kind of read through, I was this feels really good the whole day. I was fuck, I just don't want to do this.
Yeah, right.
Didn't feel like me. In the way the night unfolded, it got to be like 8:00 and Di and I are like, there's so much energy. It's like these pockets of 3, 4, 5 people talking about whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was just saying thank you to everybody, near the end of the night. And literally we're just kind of saying that. I kind of mentioned the chef who was amazing and maybe a few people that had shown up. And Luke, who who was on you were on his pod, in just perfect Luke fashion. And he said it on the podcast with you. He's like, I just don't lie because I just, and so what came up for him was, I get this. He goes, I know fucking Cal really well. He's one of my best friends. Like I see him once a week at, our men's hang. He's like, I get this invitation from Unlearned Ventures. He goes, I feel like I should have known what it is. Can I ask you, like, I feel bad. Like, what are you doing? And just in that, it was like the download came. Yeah. And I was speaking to everybody, but it was just like I was speaking to Luke. I was just giving him exactly what he was asking for. And it felt so good and so light and so easy. And then so upon reflecting, I was like, oh, that was the response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so much of that. I even love that you just told the bit about Lindsay because Lindsay's a projector. So projectors, like she sees your energy and she's like, oh, that's not working. Whatever you do, that's no. And then she sees, oh yeah, that works for you. And she can see when it's off. And obviously that day she knew it was off and she knew what you needed to hear because projectors have this really powerful ability to see into the other and they're here to be our guides. So we've got manifestors that initiate everything. Then generators and MGs, we build everything. And we're like madly doing that thing and the projectors come along and go, hey, if you just do it this way, and you're going to improve all your efficiencies. So they help us improve efficiencies. And then our reflectors reflect the truth back. So I love that you even added that bit in because like that is bang on. And everything that you're saying is like, so one of the big things with generators and manifesting generators is to be in response. And especially being, a guy of your generation, even, we're all taught, go and take massive action, go and initiate, this is the way it's done. And that's crap. It's not true. From a human design perspective, there's technically just less than 10% of the population that can actually initiate anything. And even of that, there's probably half of them that still need to wait through an emotional wave. So most of the global population, we're not meant to initiate anything. We're meant to respond. Projectors wait for the invitation. Reflectors have to wait a lot longer. But at the end of the day, what's happening for you is, and even that piece where you said, oh, I went to say I've got a long day. But actually, you get to choose. And MG is like my entire business. I work 1 week on, 1 week off, and 3 days of the week that I work on. And the 3 days, I am like literally going from 5 a.m. to probably like 3 in the afternoon because I'm excited to do it. And then I'm done. Because again, it's like what you have energy for. So again, our responsibility is to break all the rules. And we're breaking all the podcasting rules. Same deal with my podcast. Like I will do a podcast when I have energy for it. I will interview a guest when I have energy for them. Like even my team is amazing because I know so many friends that just have all of these people signed up and I'm like, that's not going to work for me because if I'm not aligned to them, then it's not going to work. Even the sponsors on my podcast, if I'm not aligned to the owners of the business, then it doesn't work for me because it's all about listening to the energy. So that example that you use, like forcing yourself to say, okay, well, I need to get up and do this at the beginning of the night. Again, like that's not the way that you're designed to do it. And it's an old paradigm. The old paradigm is, let's just get all the guys in the room and then I'm going to like say my vision and blah, blah, blah. Whereas the new paradigm is like, hey, we're all here together. We're going to create something. We're not entirely sure what that is, but I know who I am and what I bring. So how about we all get together and talk about it? And it's a lot more fluid and it's a lot more connective and it's a lot more real connection because people aren't thinking about how much money they're going to make in the back of their brain. Mm-hmm. And then for you as an MG to have Luke say, hey, what's this all about? He literally switches on your sacral energy, and your sacral energy is connected to the throat. So manifesting generators and manifestors, they're here to use their voice. So, and it's funny because ChatGPT always reminds me of this. It's not even the words you say, it's the frequency in which you speak that people hear, you know, like, so you could be talking about just about anything, but as long as your sacral's like we're on and we're speaking, everyone's picking it up. So as soon as Luke asks you something, boom, you're in response. So you are literally connected to your motors, to your throat, to source, to Mother Earth, and everything is channeling through you. And it's like your ego or your mind is just sitting there watching this thing play out.
Yes,
you know,
that's
like,
what it felt like.
Hey, wow, like, oh, really?
I'm like, look at you, dude. You're actually you're freaking calling people in, and you're like, you didn't forget it. Like, whoa, you're doing the thing.
Exactly. And you see, that's the beauty of really understanding ourselves at this level, because we're so conditioned to learn in certain ways, where people that have, configurations like ours, we're actually more designed to just trust what comes out of our mouth. You know, I hear things come out of my mouth and go, holy shit, that's good. Like I didn't make that up. Like that just came through me. And I'll say that all the time because again, it's just the channel is open and through it comes. So much of this is just learning to be authentically yourself, you know, and business. We teach a lot of business. And I had a real challenge with it in the beginning because I'd be like, I can teach you how I can be successful in business. Mm-hmm. But unlike every other Muppet out there who's teaching business the way they succeeded in business, they've missed the point. They're only teaching the way they succeed in business.
Yeah.
They're not teaching how everyone else succeeds in business. Mm-hmm. So I've really come to this point where, yes, I do teach a lot of business stuff, but ultimately I'm just teaching the individual to know themselves best so that then their inner authority guides them where they need to go and the framework that's correct for them and, you know, what their superpowers are and, you know, how their authority guides them, because every single model is going to be a little bit different. Because ultimately, I believe that we now want to build businesses, I call them lifestyle businesses, because I want to live more, I want to work less, and I want to have an impact. And the old model says if you really want to have a big impact, then you got to hustle your butt.
Totally.
And you got to burn yourself out. And I burnt myself out so many times, and I'm not doing that anymore. I refuse, especially that I work 3 days every second week. I have a multiple 7-figure business. Yeah. Okay, this is okay. Like we can make this work. My team is only 3 of us. We just know how to work. I mean, we've got a coaching team and PR person, but our core team is just 3 of us. 3 MGs, granted, so we get a lot done in a short period of time. But I really believe this is the future. And to actually live this, A, we have to know ourselves at a really deep, authentic level, which is what human design is all about. And B, we have to learn to be the rebel. We have to break all of these perceived rules that we think we have to do, or B, to create success. When really we've already got this internal guidance system, this connection to source, connection to the earth. That's like, I often picture Mother Earth or the universe sitting there like, oh God, really? Okay, well, you take the long road, you knock yourself out, but I'm here when you want me. Yeah. Because everything that I've experienced is that once you align to this, there's this huge shortcut because you start to trust yourself and you're like, okay, I'm going to make this weird decision that everyone else tells me not to do, which is basically my entire life. And inevitably it always works out. And the other thing that I wanted to respond to, because I think it's really important, is I think that we are shifting from these thinking doers. And I often talk about this through the frame of manifestation, right, or creation or success. We're moving from thinking doers to being receivers. So we really need to shift from thinking, you know, like think and grow rich. Yeah, that works when you're at a lower consciousness level. But we're now raising our consciousness. So we actually have to be and receive. Like it's all about our frequency, you know, and that is so different. It's so different to be in receivership, because when you're in receivership, you've got to take your hands off the wheel. And I found that so hard because, you know, I was that kid of trauma, of parentified really young. You know, I just learned that no one's going to do it for me. I'll do it for myself. My coach actually called me. He's like, you're like a scrappy little dog. I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm going to get it done. And to learn that I could just take my hands off the wheel and follow my own path, my strategy and authority, my design, and actually create something with greater ease was an absolute game changer. So I think that, and human design talks about there's a shift, a new paradigm coming in 2027. And we can see all the shifts happening in the world right now. But I actually think this is where it's going to be most important, because we've got to stop being at the mercy of our emotions and being controlled by our emotions, because our new guidance system is the body. It's the subtle energy. So we have to be able to hear the subtle energy instead of having a massive opinion about what's happening in the government that is completely blocking us from all these subtle things that are saying, go here, go there. This is correct for you. This is not correct for you. So yeah, I really, and human design kind of talks about that as well. We're mutating right now into something very different.
I've got like 1,000 questions.
Oh, you go. I love questions.
Oh my gosh. And I had one I was going to ask, and then you brought the last piece up. So now I don't know what to do. For one, this idea of trust. And, here, look, I'm 53. I feel like I've been on this particular journey for the past 8 years, we'll call it, right? Just for simplicity. And like trust has been this last season. Like, can you fully trust? And I would say I got kind of shown before I needed to fully trust. I got shown what happens when you work with the field, when you're not trying to make anything happen and everything is just falling in your lap, and you're like, are you shitting me? Miracles every day. Like what? Yeah. And so then it's like, pretty easy to trust, because I was getting out of the way. And so now it's like, okay, we gave you a taste of that. It was a big taste of it. And you felt like you're going to live there forever. You're not. Now we're going to go back to when things aren't necessarily falling in your lap. You're not having miracles any day. Can you trust? So I feel like right now I'm in that part of the journey. The simple fact that I've got to know trust on a level that I hadn't experienced it before, and just how that layered into not just like my work, but like with my relationship with my wife, and her ability to trust in me had to come with me taking this, and it's the three, that's the experiencer, that I'm here to do all the things. Yeah. And her being like, yes, and can you be discerning about that? And it's like, I heard the question asked, but I didn't hear what she was really asking. And it wasn't until this year that I really felt how those two things go together, and how, in order for her to truly trust, and we're not talking about from an adultery standpoint, she's like, truly trust that I can hold anything, that I have discernment around what experiences I want to have. And just because I want to try a particular plant medicine doesn't mean I go do it the first chance I get. Do it when I'm called to it, when it's in flow, when it's a full body yes. And so I feel like it's a bit of like what I've been learning over the past 6 months. And it's just being in that interesting space right now of, okay, there's some synchronicities happening. There are a few little mini miracles, but it's not like waking up every day to multiple. And so, I'm just curious, like with my design and others that may be experiencing something like this idea of how do you trust when you make the connection, not only what we've been taught, but it looks like our path to quote unquote success was by making, by grinding, by doing the hard things. And so we have so much potential confirmation bias, where we just look at it through this particular lens because it's been beaten into us. But there is, I have had these touches, like I said, of my life got so easy. And I didn't have to do a thing. And I just, not only did I follow the energy, but I had endless amounts of energy for that.
So this is awesome. I love it. There's so many things to respond to. Can I look at your chart really quickly?
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So, awesome. So a couple of things. The first thing is just from a behavioral point of view, you know, when everything came easy to you, you weren't attached to anything. You were like,
no.
Yeah, I know who I want to become, but I'm not him. I'm just going to sit in this wonderland. So no attachment. Then you have the miracles, you grow the business and you're like, oh crap. I've got an audience. I've got a wife. I've got to look after my family. I've got responsibilities. And then you fall into the unresourceful masculine because it's like, well, I know I've got to do these things and that's what worked before. So I've got to do the things. So that's where we get trapped, I think. And we're moving to this time. And I saw this great video on something to do with, and I'm no expert, and it was just one video, but something to do with like Chinese numerology. And there's something where we're moving into this time of the divine feminine. And so even the way men show up is going to be really different because it's all about, and it's really interesting what your wife said, it's all about the container, right? So all that really matters is what is the safe container that I can create. Now, where trust comes into that, and this is something my coach said to me and I was like, shut up, that's perfect. And that is, he goes, trust is bullshit, Emma. It's knowing. You don't wake up in the morning and trust that you're going to breathe. You know that you're going to breathe. And one of the big things in your design, you have what's called a defined spleen, which means that you actually have this consistent, dialed in instinctual awareness, knowing, intuitive knowing. So I don't think it's a trust issue, as in I think it's a knowing issue. I think that for you, especially from a human design perspective, you've got quite a simple design. You're what we call a pure manifesting generator. So you don't have to deal with an emotional wave. It's in the moment. Yes, I've got energy for this. No, I don't. You've got the 3420, which is a really it's the most powerful channel in the design. You know, it's very charismatic, but it's very much about self-empowerment. And then you've got this spleen on top of it. So you've got so much circuitry that's intuitive and it's knowing. But what is knowing? It's not a pathway. It's like you just know in the moment. So my favorite metaphor for this is I was lying on the beach one day and for some weird reason, I just got up. The next second, a rogue wave came in and I had just enough time to pick up my towel. That's knowing. There's no story. There's no pathway. It's just like, boom, I know this. So it's actually, I think that we're moving into this time. Again, it's feeling, and knowing is like this felt expression. It's not something we talk ourselves into. It's a felt expression. We know we're going to breathe. We know the sun is going to rise. You know this podcast is going to go out. You don't get involved, do you? Mm-hmm. So it's exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. I think this time that we're in is we've come through this because we've learned how to work with our mind, our subconscious mind, but we have to stop it. We have to move from trust to knowing, and knowing is a body felt experience. And that's really scary for us.
Yeah, because trust is up in the mind. Wow.
Yeah, and we think it's a pathway. Like, yes. I'll trust if.
And that's like the whole idea is to turn him back into the servant.
Yeah.
Which is when I was in that particular season recently, it was like, this thing was like, it was just taking my orders.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It was like, I had almost like, I was so tuned in with my intuition as life cuts. I just knew yes or no. I just knew.
And that's it.
And I didn't need to explain myself, didn't feel the need.
And that's one of the big things with your design. You know, it'd be cool to know what your wife's design is too, because like how the two of you work together.
Do you know what her design is?
I just know management.
Okay.
But, you know, like for you, like often you're not going to know why. Because a sacral being, so whether you're an MG or a generator, it's just like, I have energy for this. So I have two sacral being sons. I don't ask them why. And I sure as hell don't ask them, oh, just sleep on it. Just wait. Like if they know, I'm like, yeah, you go. And I'm an emotional authority, so I have to sleep on things. So that's a very different operating system, you know, for you.
I believe she's similar
emotional.
To you.
Yeah, she needs to sleep on it. She needs that time where for you, it's like, I just know that this is what I've got energy for, or this is what I don't have energy for. So it's also finding like, okay, well, what is that balance, especially with the masculine and the feminine? Because the feminine needs to be understood. So that means conversation. That means, a pathway. Whereas you're this sacral being, and sometimes you're like, I don't know. I just know I've got energy for it. So it's correct for me to go in this direction. So that's kind of like the indicator, like, okay, so what do you need to feel safe? Like, okay, so how can I help you from this space? Because I don't know why, and I can't tell you why, So it's like, okay, well, now we have to ask better questions. Now we have to come from different angles because we now know we're asking the wrong questions. So we're never going to feel satiated. We're never going to feel satisfied, which is one of the indicators for MGs, like that sense of satisfaction, job well done, conversation well had. We got where we needed to get. Once we feel that satisfaction, we're like, sweet, we're good. We're in alignment. But if we feel frustration, especially MGs, if we feel anger or frustration, we're in the head. We're trying to think our way there. We're operating from fear. So they're just these indicators that we're out of alignment.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when you'll be able to put even more context to this, but when I just know, and Peyton has her sense of knowing, but there's a lot of context that she needs to explain herself and really work it on out. Where that's been like one of the challenges for me over in the past has been me just sitting and listening, because I'm like, I actually don't need any of this context. Like but it's part of her process.
She needs it.
And I've done a much better job of that than I used to, but I used to get super frustrated because I'm like, what are we talking about? Like, okay, we're good. Like, let's move on. Like, and she wants, she's actually looking for connection.
Exactly.
Which I was missing in that. Yeah. That whole design. But
exactly. And just to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel understood. I read this great article many years ago. And I think the title was something like, just bring me a cup of fucking tea. No, just ask me if I want a cup of fucking tea. Because it's not even the cup of tea that I want. I want you to know that I want a cup of tea. And not because you're like where you're reading my mind, but because you know me and you see that I'm a bit like at that end of the day or whatever. Just ask me if I want a cup of tea. That shows me that you know me, that you understand me, because the feminine wants to be understood and the masculine wants to be appreciated. So often she's trying to be understood and he's trying to be appreciated, and we're just like, banging heads over here. And I really feel like with human design, when we start to understand how people are actually wired, like you move at light speed, you move very quickly. So one of the things that would be important is every time you can just say, yeah, I hear what you're saying, or I'm hearing you're saying this and you're feeling that. That's going to help her feel like, yeah, you're receiving it. Because to her, especially if she's emotional, she takes things in much slower than you. Mm-hmm. So there is the ego gets involved with, well, how could you possibly know? Because you move so quickly. But that's actually how you're designed. You do move really, really quickly. So again, when we understand our design, we ask better questions. We're better humans because we're like, oh, I get it. I'm just moving too fast for you. So if I ask you a few more questions to demonstrate that I know what you're feeling or I'm hearing you, then we'll move on. And it's just, I love it. I love that we can know each other that well.
I want to shift gears. I want to just give people, even if we don't spend a ton of time on it, but like, just like, it's been 20 years you've been in the game. Yeah.
Well, 20 years working with like my own personal spiritual development.
Yeah.
Started my business in 2015 and then 2018 introduced human design. And honestly, I introduced it kicking and screaming. Because I had this corporate business and I was really concerned about asking people for their birth time. But literally from the first person I asked, and he was the absolute stereotypical, old white guy. And I'm like, well, I'm working with this new thing. And literally after the session, he's like, here's my kids, here's my wife, can you do everybody? And it just trickled down from there. Again, I was in alignment with my design. So I didn't have any interference with integrating this into that environment because I was just trusting. I was running my human design experiment.
What has been like the biggest challenge as you've stepped into this space?
I think, I've been the biggest challenge, like just deconditioning, like, as I said, I've always been able to force my way to what I want to create. So one of the hardest things for me has been slowing down, taking my time, designing a business the way I want to live. trusting my own inner authority, breaking the rules. Like, that's been challenging for me, because ultimately what I've done is I've taken control out of my own hands and I've given it back to the universe, to my own intrinsic design. So I think that that's something that a lot of people come with, is that, especially in my audience, like, these are already people that have created success, but the old way.
Yeah.
And they're burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but seriously, I am the one that jumps off the cliff. But if this doesn't go well, like, I know how this story ends up and I'm going to be burnt out. So I think, again, it comes back to that. The beauty I love about human design is that when you might even just get your first chart, you might just get that basic information and you start to get to know yourself. And it's really that part of, can I actually, like, jump here? Am I just going to go with that? Am I going to trust it? It's that trust piece. Can I trust saying, because for me, I said, I'll tell you tomorrow on some really big deals early on when I was transitioning. I'm like, really? Like, I've been conditioned, like, you want to say yes as soon as, and even like with negotiating early on with some of the bigger corporate deals, I was like, yeah, my sacral's giving it a hard no, and I've got to sleep on it. Like, oh, what? I've got to ask for more money. So really all of these things and trusting that process, that was really tough in the beginning. Whereas now it's cool because, like, my team will say, like, my PR person, I remember not long ago, she's like, I can't even remember what podcast it was, but she was pitching a podcast and it was a no. And she messaged me and she said, oh, I so thought we were going to get it. I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, dude, don't worry about it. I'm clearly not the person that can interview that person yet or be interviewed by that person yet. Don't worry about it, because I know it's happening. And, so once you get to that place where you really trust yourself, certain things are going to happen. But the more you get involved with the path, the slower it's going to go. So I think it's all of those things. Like, literally, the hardest thing hasn't been the effort. It's actually been the being. It's been the letting go. It's been slowing down, being quiet. That's probably been the hardest thing, really integrating my design.
Yeah, I'd love for you to speak even more to that, just because I feel like there's a lot of people, myself included, even though you've said it a few times, a few different ways, need to hear that, because the conditioning is, this is how you achieve success. You do this thing.
Yeah.
And you could even look at the framework of the words manifesting, generating, means I'm like, I make shit happen. And so I have to push and strive, and just when you dig into the deeper parts of the design, it's actually saying the opposite. There's a lot,
100%.
There's so much of it back to the knowing that, so I'd love just to hear it one more time with however you want to frame it.
Yeah. And there's I want to give you the example of my book because it's really the most practical example. But the thing that I talk about a lot with my community is, remember that you are creating your reality from your frequency. Yeah, we know that. Yep. Okay, so how does it feel when you're working on your business? Oh, well, I'm trying really hard. I'm doing this, and then I'm trying really hard. How does that feel? You're like, oh, shit. So I'm literally pushing stuff away because I'm hustling, because I'm forcing. Yeah, because if you hustle and force, then all you're doing is magnetizing more hustle and force. Hustle and force, hustle and force. Okay, well, I have to hustle and force because what I call your original frequency, the frequency you were born with, your design, that then gets that frequency gets blurred by all the conditioning. Like, it's in there just tapping its fingers on the desk going, I'm sweet. You just need to listen to me, not that. And like my book, I said on my podcast, I think it's going to be just under 2 years ago, I just throwaway comment, I think I'm ready to write a book. About a month later, a friend of mine was approached by a UK book agent to write a human design book. She's like, I'm not ready, and gave them my number. Then I had one Zoom with this book agent in London, and I said, the thing is, I'm just about to go to Spain to walk the Camino. I could swing by London on the way back. and come and meet with you. So sure enough, I swung past. She's like, yeah, I'd love to work with you. That's brilliant. I happened to get a couple of publishers straight away. So I met with a couple of publishers, and I'm published with a Penguin imprint. Like, it's a big publisher. And so I met this person, and then I went home. Next thing, we've got this deal with Penguin. Then went through this whole process. Now, as I was walking the Camino, I couldn't do a demo chapter. So my agent had asked this ghostwriter to just literally go into my membership with my content, pull something out, pop it together, and give it to the publisher. What all of these people didn't know is I'm also dyslexic. So the thought of writing a book, taking information and then putting it all into this and that, I find it easy to write through me, but that was so then I have this ghostwriter that does this thing, and I'm like, hey, any chance Chelsea can work with me on everything and pull everything? If I do the framework, can she pull everything? And then I'll go through and really deeply edit everything. That's exactly what happened. So it couldn't have been more perfect for me. Then when we were getting close to publishing, we didn't have an American publisher yet. And we're super green. And one of my besties back home, she's a publisher. And she's like, these people, what's going on? You should be this, you should be that. And I'm literally following strategy and authority. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just following my sacral. I'm sleeping on it. I'm just doing all the things I tell people to do. And I feel like this naive child, but I'm deep in my experiment, and it's never let me down. So we end up launching in the UK, in Australia. That all goes really well. And then all of a sudden we hear that Penguin in the US wants to pick up the book. Not only that, one of the other leading voices in the human design space, who's been around a lot longer than me, also has a book that they're looking at. And they chose my book. They're like, this is exactly what we're looking for. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Does it get to be this easy? This is crazy. Even down to the point where when I went to record the audiobook, again, I'm dyslexic. If you want to torture me, put me in a booth and tell me to read out loud with someone watching me. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is my worst nightmare. The guy in the booth was the nicest guy I've ever met in my entire life. So, of course, I'm so chilled out, and his sister's a voice coach and all this other stuff. So he's like, just do this. And with the dyslexia, just do this, focus on that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Even this gets to be easy? So the whole thing has been so easy, off the charts easy. And the amount of energy I put towards it would be a 2 out of 10 compared to the other things that I've forced into manifestation. Same with my podcast, 2 out of 10 effort, 10 out of 10 rewards. And again, it's always because I'm not attached to it. I'm just listening. I'm letting my design guide me. So the universe isn't sitting there tapping her fingers on the desk waiting for me to take the long road. I'm just like, okay, you just show me where I need to go. And even how all the podcasts worked out here, everything, it's just got a life of its own. This book wanted to be birthed, and it was birthed through me. Even there was this beautiful moment that it launched here in the US on the 21st, and it was my eldest son's 18th birthday on the 22nd. So even that, I felt like everything was aligned. So the hardest thing for people is to just let go and let the process unfold, follow strategy and authority. But it happens everywhere.
That's amazing. I wonder, what are there common blind spots for kind of each design, or do they each kind of have their own, hey, if this is who, your design is, this is something that's probably going to come up for you?
Yeah. So because each type, and type's kind of where we jump off, we've talked a lot about manifesting generators, and a lot of that is true for generators as well. But each type's there's going to be certain things that get in their way. So manifestors, for example, they're actually our initiators. They're the ones that start the flame, start the movement. And their biggest challenge is they end up being people pleasers, because from a young age, they're too much. We've got a bit of manifestor in us, and it's the too much. They take up too much energetic space. They're too powerful. They often, the guy who channeled all the information in, the thing he used to say about manifest to kids was like, just give them a mobile phone, they'll be right. Like they'll take care of themselves. So these people, they learn very young that they make other people uncomfortable because they're so, they start things and they can take care of themselves. So they become these people pleasers, but they actually need to be completely unapologetically themselves because they're here to inspire people. Like the manifestors inspire us into action, but they're also meant to piss off a bunch of people. So if they're people pleasers, they never inspire the right people and piss off the right people. And they waste their time and they don't get their full power out into the world. With us, with generators and manifesting generators, because manifesting generators are this hybrid, between the manifestor and the generator, but we're more generator, so we kind of put them in that group. Our big challenge is because we are so energetically able, we're the ones that it's like we can have minimal boundaries. Oh, let me do it. I'll do it. Give it to me. I'll do it. They say yes to everything that should be a no. They're the ones that will work later, do more, just because they feel like they can, and they've been trained to work hard and to hustle, so they just keep going. And we do a thing called functional burnout. So if manifestors or projectors or reflectors burn out, they're really aware that they burn out. Like often they are lying on a couch or, in the doctor's office. Whereas for generators and MGs, we literally just lose the lust for life. So we lose our passion for life. Our life force energy that comes from the sacral is unplugged because the sacral's like, dude, you're not listening to me. So I'm just going to go dormant until you start listening to me again. And that often means rest, but it also means like you need to go and play. You need to go and have fun. You need to find the things that light you up.
Question.
Yeah.
When those things are not attended to in that way, when there's not rest, there's not play, I'm going to just, again, from my own experience, I could see something like dependency on substances being the thing that tries to get that lust for life. I've experienced that multiple times where there's this voice in the background, like you need to be fucking creating something, you need to do something, when I really just needed to rest. And so then I go to whatever the substance is in that season that's going to give me energy and focus and let me go. And then invariably I go past the recommended daily, dosage.
Yep. MG's all over.
And then I'm in, I don't want to call it addiction, but I'm in deep dependency.
Yep. And
the beauty, I'm guessing this is probably part of the design as well, is when I finally recognize it, and it could be 5-6 months down the road. It's not like it's a couple days, right?
Yeah.
I can be like, oh, I'm done with this. And I can literally stop whatever cold turkey and maybe have a little bit of withdrawals here, depending on what it is. But it seems like nothing like what other people do. And that could just be my own biology with the regards to getting off some stuff, but I can let it go for something. I don't know if it's something switches on. It's like, yeah, I don't need this anymore.
Yeah. And it's interesting. So one of the challenges with being an MG is boredom. And if we get to a place of boredom, we will literally blow our life up so we have a challenge to fix. Because MGs, we thrive outside our comfort zone. So again, like often we will then default to, I better get out of my comfort zone when our body actually needs rest. We need rest too. We need recovery. MGs, I look back at my mental health journey because I did depression and panic disorder for many, many years, considered taking my own life for many years. It was actually the catalyst of, I wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't have that experience. And sometimes I look back and go, God, was that some kind of crazy way of me blowing up my own life so that I had a big challenge to fix? Because I had completely ignored what I wanted to create. I had got married early. Like for me, I was like, I'm not going to get married till I'm 30. I don't know if I'm even going to have kids. And here I was at 27. I'm married. I'm living in the country. I'm like, oh my God, like poke me in the eye. This is awful. And I kind of looked back and went, oh, geez, I wonder if that was part of the whole process. Just because then I'm on this huge learning journey and I'm healing myself and I'm recovering and then I'm teaching everyone else, and that's why I became a coach. And so that's one thing you want to be really careful of with an MG is that I always call them like unconscious grenades. We will throw freaking grenades. So we have something to fix. So especially as a line 5, we are fixers, baby. So we'll blow shit up so we can fix it. So yeah, we got to be really conscious of that because that's super unresourceful. We need to, like, when we don't have that passion, when our sacral energy isn't burning, then we need to find something that's going to burn. It's going to burn for. And often I always say to people, just start small. Like, do you have energy to go to the beach? Just go to the beach. This is going to be a time that you need to recover. And MGs do go faster than everyone else. We do. Our bodies are often built that way. My dad was an MG. He was also a highly functional, a divine man, highly functional alcoholic. He only got sweeter. He was very, very introverted and have a few drinks. And then I was like, awesome, Dad, tell me about all the stories of London. It was not a really dysfunctional thing for him. But even when he went into a home, and of course they go through this process of testing all your organs, he said to me, like, are you sure he's an alcoholic? I'm like, oh, I'm positive. And he's like, well, his organs are great. But the man would drink maybe 6 liters of water a day. So I often find, and I have nothing to back this up, but I often find those that have a defined sacral, so generators and manifesting generators, we tend to metabolize things better. We do tend to be the ones that don't get the massive hangovers. Dad never got I never get hangovers. I probably would now, but it's not really something I'm going to do. But so when you have a defined sacral, I just instinctively feel like we just metabolize things a little bit better. So yeah, and as an MG, you want to be careful of the boredom. But just to make sure I include the projectors and reflectors. So the big thing about projectors is they're on the planet to be seen and recognized. But we don't live in a culture that recognizes, like, that gives resourceful attention or significance. So here is the projector sitting in the classroom going, dude, I know the answer to that. And the teacher's like, Betty, shush, let someone else answer. It's like, no, you need to recognize this kid. Like, this is the kid that walks through the kitchen and goes, Mum, Dad doesn't treat you right. And if you keep going like this, you're going to end up, in hospital or something like that. This kid sees everything you think it doesn't see. It sees it. And these are the people that need to be seen and recognized, because if they're not, then they become unresourceful getters of attention, of significance. So they try to force the wisdom that they see on everyone, and all that does is repel people. So they really have to learn to wait for the invitation. They have to wait for someone to see their wisdom. And when they do, they're unstoppable. Like, I always use the example because in the human design world, projectors can be made out to be a little bit wishy-washy. Oh, they don't have energy. They're just like these, like, and it really pisses me off because they can be super powerful. I'm like, dude, love her or hate her, Taylor Swift is a projector. And like, when you're aligned, like, every single song, like, it's all projector. And the way, like, she runs her business, she's in every part of it. The way she's even shaped the music industry, projector, projector, projector. So the thing that is so important, and it's like you see it with Taylor Swift, is you have to be invited. I mean, look at these Swifties. They're obsessed. Like, they don't they affect the government, like voting and all sorts of stuff?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And it's because she's invited in. Whereas if you think about people who really don't like her, again, she's not invited in. So they're like, I really don't like you, so step away. So projectors, they have to learn, just wait for the invitation. Wait for people to recognize your wisdom or your gift. And when they do, they will never let you go. You will be Yoda to them. And then reflectors, these people are really incredible. It's only 1% of the global population, and they can read energy better than anyone. They literally they have the super highway to source, to the quantum field, everything. I saw this, was watching this guy, Matthew James Bailey is his name, and he's an independent AI advisor. Like, he's worked with governments. He's invented stuff for NASA. He is this spiritual teacher. And I was watching him speak on the Gaia stage, and I was like, you're literally speaking human design language. Like, what is going on here? Like, do you know human design? Anyway, I'm like watching and message, like, I got to get him on the podcast. And I get him on the podcast and I'm like, do you know human design? He goes, oh, I only know that I'm a reflector. And I said, I could literally break down your entire talk and I could show you every point of how you just talked about human design and how AI worked into it and how like our soul contract and all of this stuff. And I'm like, that is the epitome of a reflector. He didn't even know he was doing it, but he's reflecting back that this is what's important in the world right now. This is what's shifting and changing. We're moving to this frequency, this blueprint, as opposed to this thinking. He even talked about this shift where we're so used to mindset coaching and it's like we're moving away. We've got to get back to this. And he would call it your DNA blueprint. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's exactly what human design is. So reflectors are super magical like that. If you have one in your life, whatever you think about that reflector, it's what you think about you. Like it's really, because if people don't like the reflectors in their life, like you're just looking at yourself, you know? And if you do have a reflector in your life, take time to actually get to know them. Mm-hmm. Like ask them loads of questions, let them answer, don't project your crap onto them because they are a mirror for you. So they take time to get to really know. Yeah.
Well, I feel like he's not quite in my, I've kind of lost track with him, but he was the one, I believe, that introduced me to human design. I believe he was definitely like a one-of-one type of guy too. Yeah. Really super interesting. And one of the smartest guys I've ever met. Wow. Nevertheless, question around working with human design within business. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think about, you know, me and my partner Ty, just like obviously seeing how our, you know, designs work together. And then when we're meeting with a potential team that we're going to invest in. Mm-hmm. And so what's the founder's design, right? And then I know in astrology, there's an imprint that they use for the company, that the astrology, the reading of the company. Is that something that's also done with human design? Like you actually look at the entity?
Yeah. So this is a great question. And in human design, there's this other arm called BG5. And this is where, and BG5 is part of Jovian, which is the original teachings.
Okay.
So it's very like hardcore original knowledge. However, they do deal with what they call pentas, which are the groups and business and how specifically we contribute to a business. But there's a lot of things, like I use the gene keys a lot as well. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of things that we can look at for compatibility within business. Even like the incarnation crosses, we can look at that a lot because we know what energy they're going to bring to the group. I mean, I'm a cross of planning. So it's all about creating structure and strategy. It's almost like my energy builds the skeleton, the foundations, the structure to move forward, and then the community around it. So that anyone who comes to me, it's like that's what they actually come to me for. And when I look at my chart, like in my North Node, I've got the gate 34, which is all about empowerment. So that's what I'm here. I'm here to teach self-empowerment. So we can look at parts of the chart and it would be real. What's your business partner's design? Do you know off the top of your head?
I feel like he's a generator because I know it surprised me.
Yeah. Can you text him and ask him? Awesome.
Yeah. Because it's really good to know. Like if you go down the BG5, and I'm not an expert in this, but if you go down that road, like they're often like you want to have all the different types together. And again, like my core talent. My core talent is actually like Richard Rudd calls this, because it's the 43. He actually calls it the creative rebel. So I'm the one that goes, oh, thanks, but no, I'm going to do it my way. And I don't actually think that's true. I think from my experience and working with so many entrepreneurs, it's really dependent on whoever the visionary of the business is. Mm-hmm. So I'm the visionary of the business. So it makes sense that my core team are all MGs. I was even saying to Taylor this morning how fantastic it is because I'm dealing with Sherelle, who's doing a lot of the work that she used to do. And I'm like, it's brilliant because Sherelle deals with everything like you, because I do not micromanage. MGs are energetically independent. So we don't want to be micromanaged, but we also will not micromanage. Mm-hmm. And from a business perspective, I'm actually an alpha. So a lot of the things that, like when I worked in advertising, I had a really successful career, but I would often be in the group things and go, well, I feel like I don't fit in. Like I'm not part of this group. What's going on? This is weird. But then I'd go off and I actually worked in like a business development arm, which was this whole separate thing. And I was very autonomous. And then when I understood my design, like that's the way I'm designed to lead. So I sit outside of the group. So I'm the visionary. I set the vision. And then Taylor is actually the one that will tend to manage the rest of the team and the coaches and all that sort of stuff, because her design plugs in more and their design plugs in more, whereas mine doesn't. But I also think the Gene Keys is a beautiful way, the Pearl sequence, like we can really look at some specifics. So give me a look at your chart again. Awesome. So for you, and this is the Gene Key, so I'm talking about core talent. Your core talent is the 13. And the 13 is the gate of the listener. So this is going to be the number one thing you're here to do. So when we know and our incarnation cross, so you've got the 1 and the 2, the 7 and the 13. Now the Sphinx is also about leadership. So we already know, and you're an MG, you've got the 3420. So we already know the odds are you're going to be the visionary, because this is visionary energy. The 1 and the 2 is hugely directional. It's the masculine and the feminine. The 7 is leadership. You've got the 8, which is leadership. You've got the 3420, which is leadership. So then if we dive into the Pearl sequence, the gate of the listener, and you've actually got the line 4. So for you, a large part of your core talent is to do with the group, networking. You're going to feel like that core talent is bringing relationships to the table.
Like if anybody would say anything about me, it's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like the number one thing. But when you look at then the next one is in human design is your design Jupiter, and your core talent is your design Mars. But you've got the 14 line 3, and this is your culture. So this is like how you're going to work best. And you've actually got the line 3 in there. So you're going to work best in a small team. So it actually works for you to work with other people. That's the thing that's going to feel the most resonant for you. For me, I'm a line 4. So what I'm all about is actually going into other people's networks and bringing people into mine. And talking about business strategy, really early on, I was like, I just want to bring all these other teachers into HDX, my community. And of course, every business coach is like, are you mental? Like you've worked really hard on building this audience and they're going to go and spend money with someone else. And I'm like, yeah, but they're spending money with me. It's fine. I'm going to just do it. I'm going to do it. And then when I came across this, I'm like, there it is. I am the networker. So, and what's crazy is, so I've built this, and yes, there are businesses that have built off the back of my audience, but I've also built off the back of their audience. Okay, mine might be bigger, but is mine going to be bigger forever? Yeah. You know, and a lot of these people are actually now my lifelong friends. Yeah. So it also helps us to break these rules, you know, like it really helped me to break the rules. And for you, your culture is also in the 14, and you have the 214. Got a few real indicators towards money and abundance, but I'll come back to that. So the 14 in your culture, what that really means is this is all about what you do that's uniquely you. It's all about your unique gifts. So this is actually, because you've got the whole channel, it's very magnetic when it comes to resources, to any sort of resources, abundance, money, anything that you need for the family. It's very, very magnetic. But what is so important about it is its individual circuitry, and the gate 14 is about your individual gifts. So in the Gene Keys, I think the shadow is called compromise. So the moment you compromise your individuality, your truth, the tap turns off. And And I say all the time with the 214, like you can hustle your butt and it's not going to go anywhere because you're not being uniquely you. And because it's in your culture, like, so the whole environment that you work in, it's got to be so your unique skills, because otherwise the tap will turn off. Does that feel like it resonates?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then I'll just skip over. And this, I do always like to preface, like, this isn't something Richard Rudd says. It's just something I've noticed with the Gene Keys in my community, is the pearl. So that's your personality Jupiter. For anyone out there that knows design, I'm just like, I'll give you the deets. But you're a line 5. So when that comes to money is not hard for you. Money is easy. Money is power. But what you also want to understand is we are in this massive time of change where the way money is power, that doesn't work anymore. That old paradigm is breaking down. So for you, money is super easy when you're leading, when you're out front, when you're in your power, when you're self-empowered. And again, there's so much indicators in your design that when you walk your own unique path, when you trust your gut, you have 3 of the 4 directional gates. You have this defined G center. So like, where you're going. And you don't know it up here, you know it in here. And I'm the massive advocate for heart coherence meditation. And like, you get into heart coherence and you listen to that gut and that heart and you just follow that, you'll be an unstoppable force. Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Yeah. That's my takeaway. Ty, get back to you.
He's also 3-5. You're 3-5, right?
Yeah.
He's a 3-5 generator.
Yeah, brilliant. So, and it's funny that you said that he feels a little bit more chill.
He also has a lot of planets in the 12th house of astrology. So
I don't know what that means because I'm not huge on astrology.
A little more like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
A little more intuitive, a little more like Ruby energy that's unseen.
Yeah. And this is what's really cool. This is what's really cool about human design is that it's breaking these paradigms, because as a line 5, then I instantly know that this is a person that wants to have global impact. And we presuppose that means that they want to be the face of the business. And that doesn't mean that at all. So Taylor that works with me, she's the same. Like I have literally had leading global entrepreneurs try to steal her from me because she's amazing. Like if I told you what our ad budget was and our conversions and all of this thing, you would want to steal it from me.
Yeah.
But it's the same deal. She's like, I never wanted to be the face. I don't want to be the face of the business. But this back end stuff, like, oh my God, it lights me up. Like all the structure, all the strategy, all the marketing. And one of my great friends in Australia, she's got this beautiful marketing business. It's hugely successful. And I was speaking at their conference. And my friend Francisca sat down with T and they were talking conversions, and I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see Francisca's face. And she was like, are you kidding me? And again, like T has never gone out and been taught. She follows her intuition. She follows and she'll go and go, okay, cool, I'll go listen to that podcast. Or, oh, there's a piece of information that I'm drawn to over there. But she literally says, and she's a 5-1. Like 5-1s are amazing at building anything. She will literally say, sure, we can do it your way, but we'll end up doing it my way. And she's right. It's not arrogant. It's not anything. She's like onto it. So again, I feel like your partner, just because he's a line 5 doesn't mean he wants to necessarily be out the front, but he still wants the impact. And the fact that you're both 3-5s, like you get each other. The only thing will be is that you being the MG, you've kind of got this thing about you're what we call energetically independent. So you can just once you respond, you're gone. Whereas the generators, they're here to build and they're going to want a little bit more of a linear process. So sometimes that might feel overwhelming to him because you're like, oh, I've got this, oh, and that thing, and oh, yeah, let's go over here. Oh, we're going to see this guy about this. And he'll be like, whoa, can we just have a look at what that pathway looks like? So it's just tweaking those things. But yeah, that'll work really well together.
Yeah, we've been together for probably 5 years now. And I'd say we've kind of restarted this investment business within the past four plus months. And he so gets me that he allows me to just fucking spread everything everywhere, and then no judgment, whatever. And then he just picks a kind of a course of action that makes the most sense by reading my energy around it. And then his know-how. I mean, he's such the perfect partner for me because he knows how to ground what we're wanting to create without grounding me.
Yeah, I love that. And it'd be so cool if I actually had his chart. So when we look at my chart and Taylor's chart, so her core talent is my personality sun, also called your life's work. So at the end of the day, my life's work is her core talent. So we are so aligned, and I'm what's called a split definition. And my bridge gates, she has my bridge gate, so our design is so perfectly fitted together. And I really think that that's the point. Like when we get out of the way, then the universe can bring us these people. I mean, we've got so many spooky, amazing stories that it's like, wow, you just couldn't make this up. Like if I had made this happen, I couldn't have hired a better person. So when I started my business, I was going through a thing called your Uranus opposition. Basically, it's an internal revolution. It's when you wake up, you go through it in your early 40s. You wake up and you're like, oh shit, I don't want to be this person. I like this person.
I left 18 years as a trader when I was 42.
Yeah, exactly.
And moved here.
Exactly. And that is really on brand for your Uranus opposition, right? So that's when I became a coach. And I went like down the rabbit hole, doing all the things, learning all the things, building businesses. I was like on it. And a friend of mine used to always say, it's like, how are you not a line 1? Because I was so into the details. And I'm a 3/5. But as I was going through this Uranus opposition, because we then have a theme. There's a whole incarnation cross and a profile theme. So it sort of sits in the background. And I was a 5/1 cross of cycles. So I had this energy that you'd know all about, like detail. I got to get to the bottom of everything. I got to research it. I got to know it inside out. And it's that line 1 energy. And as a line 3, I'm like, I don't care. Like the details, I don't care about details.
Yeah.
But I went through this stage. Then literally as I finished my Uranus opposition, I didn't know it at the time. A friend of mine who interviewed me on the podcast was taking me through all this. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I finished my Uranus opposition and I hired Taylor. She's a 5/1 cross of cycles. So I built this whole business with this energy and then hired this energy to take on that part of the business I didn't have to do it completely unconsciously.
Way.
And all I did was follow my strategy and authority. Like this is how human design works. Like you don't know how amazing all these amazing energetic things are happening all the time, but we don't know about it. Again, that incarnation cross thing, we come into, like we call in the cross of all of these people. So we could sit down on a bus and that energy is helping us because we don't have to do anything. And I often use the story, like when my first son was born, I was deep in depression and panic disorder, and he's a cross of the sleeping phoenix. And the phoenix is here to help people rise from the ashes. And he literally said to me at 14, like, this is how incredible this kid is. He was curious. He wanted to know about his design. I was telling him that he's the cross of the sleeping phoenix and how he's going to help people rise from the ashes. And he just turned to me and looked at me and said, so Mum, does that mean I need to learn to rise from the ashes? And I'm like, yeah, baby. And this kid, like the way he has evolved, like his mindset, like he's gone through deep fear and self-judgment and criticism. And because he's like, I'm the phoenix, so I'm just going to learn how to heal from this. And once I learn how to heal from this, and literally he's called in friends that, like he's got so many friends that have had dads that have killed themselves, that, have drug addictions that want to get off it, like all this sort of stuff. And he's always the kid. He's always the catalyst. And for me, he was born, and from the moment he was born, my mental health journey improved.
Wow.
He didn't do anything. It was his energy. And then my second son was born, and he's a Sphinx. And I can remember being very pregnant and sitting in a brainstorming meeting for Nutella, and we're all trying to make Nutella look healthy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm out. I'm selling my soul to the devil. I can't do this. And he was born, and 3 months later I had my first business, because the Sphinx helps you change direction. So again, he didn't do anything. And this is the whole thing with human design. It's happening. below your consciousness. It's informing your behavior. It's informing your personality. Even when you start diving into your shadows, sure enough, there are all your limiting beliefs, all your deep, dark fears. And once you know what you're working with, you know what it's like. Once you're aware of it, you can change it.
Yes. How do you work with businesses in particular?
So for me, I work with a lot of like smaller entrepreneurs. I always think like, again, as a line 5, I'm like, oh, people don't really want to build like world domination businesses. I got to remember that because as a line 5, I'm like, I've got to have this big impact.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I've kind of realized that most people want to build this like $300,000 lifestyle business, work less, live more, have impact. So the way that I actually work with them with businesses, number one, is they've got to be operating from their authentic truth. So let's say I have a projector client and they're already exhausted before they're out of the gate because they don't have the energy that we have, that generators have. And there's 70% of the population are MGs or generators, right? And here they are burnt out before they've even started. So straight out of the gate, I'm talking completely different strategies. Because for someone like you, I'm like, well, you want to go and like make a bunch of mistakes, you've got to try a bunch of things, like go and throw yourself at a few things. Whereas with a projector, I'm like, right, we need to get you straight into structures, into AI, how you can get supported, how we can get all of that structural stuff set up so that you're not wasting your energy on it. Like you want to be outsourcing marketing if you can. Like it's all of these things that once you understand a person's design, like where do you need to go first? And like with manifestors, I'm literally just going to sit there and go like, how can I help you? Because you cannot tell a manifestor what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so often when you tell a manifestor what to do, they're just going to do the absolute opposite. So if you're sitting in front of a manifestor and you're helping them grow a business, you're just like, how can I help? You just tell me what you need. So there is and then we can dive really deep, like even this beginning of looking at your design. So for your business, one of the primary things is you need freedom. Like if you do not have freedom, then you will blow shit up because you need to be able to do this, do that, go over there. You also need to stop hustling to build structure. You got to follow what lights you up. So for me, like, yes, in the beginning of my business, there were certain structures that I had to build. But at the end of the day, if I'm really honest, I hardly did anything. I was like, I'm just going to talk into this microphone. I'm going to share this. This lights me up. Yeah. And it was the thing that grew my audience. So I was building a list, but everything else wasn't great. Then I invested in a VA. And of course, that VA is now the COO of my business.
Yeah.
But so again, it's like, and depending where you're at in your business, it's going to depend on what you invest in. So, as a projector or even a manifestor or reflector, you want to get a team in as soon as possible because you have to take care of your energy because you don't have as much energy as us. Then you also want to know your profile. So your 2 numbers, 3, 5. Again, everything for you, like what your audience wants from you, they want to hear your experiences. They want to hear from you what works and what doesn't work. They want solutions. They want leadership. So when we understand our profile, that's also going to help us with our marketing. So straight away, we're going to market differently. So if you're a line 1, you're the authority. You're the authority through knowledge. So you market that way. If you're a line 2, it's all about your natural talent. So what's the thing that comes easily to you? Tell the world about that. If you're a line 3, it's all about experimentation and your experience. A line 4, a friend of mine who is an expert in marketing, and she now does marketing with human design. She literally used to run one of the biggest media agencies. It's so cool. And now she's like doing it all, but with human design.
Yes.
Like, this is crazy good. She jokes, if you're a line 4, you don't even need to market. Just go and work on your relationships because they're all about relationships. I'm pretty sure Luke's a line 4. So as long as you're taking care of your relationships, every opportunity comes through that. Line 5, that's all about solutions. Give them your solutions, be the leader. Line 6 is the visionary. So, and the role model. So you want to be talking about your experience and what you see for the future. Be the teacher. So we can start to take really fundamental parts of our design and understand like, this is also what we're going to do in the business. So it's what we're going to market, but it's also what we're going to do. So often we can think, okay, well, what are the gaps? So for me, one of my big gaps was the lack of care for the details. And of course, I've hired a 5-1 without even realizing who takes care of all the details. And even Sherelle, that also works with us, funnily enough, she's a 1-3. So we've got the 1 in the details, but we've got the 3 as well. So she's like super fine with the mess that I make because she does the same thing. She gets it. So we can really, like, when we know the individual, and we can dive into like the Pearl sequence, which especially if you're in what we call a non-sacral being, so manifestor, projector, or reflector, we can look at that little, that culture sphere and say, okay, well, what's the line number? And if that's like yours, a line 3, it's like, right, well, you need to be with a group of people. So what does that look like? And I'll often say to, let's say I've got a projector coach. I'm like, right, well, why don't you go and work in corporate? Go and see if you can do some work with corporate because they build the business. All you've got to do is go in. All you've got to do is go in, coach, and leave. So you don't have to worry about growing this whole business and this model and rah, rah, rah. So your energy is totally taken care that way. So again, the deeper we know about the design, the more we can help them actually design a business around them that's going to light them up and that's going to, showcase their talents and serve in the way they're designed to serve. But the beauty is it's all so unique. Every single human is so different that once you actually have their design and you can tweak it and play with it, it's fun. It's great.
I'm thinking about my partnership with Ty. He does so much of all of the structure, everything, whether it's we got to talk to attorneys, we got to get a bookkeeper, we want to set up what the roadmap project looks like, the website, like all the things where it's like, he's such a gift.
Yeah.
And then, when we're meeting with potential brands that we may fund, or it's just, we come at it from 2 different angles. And I started to work with him 5 years ago just with the podcast and helping me with the brand. And then he started to help me with investments I was looking at. That was kind of what was the birth of Unlearned Ventures. And he just has an ability to ask like the tougher questions that it was really hard for me to ask because I didn't want to I don't know what it was. I didn't want someone to be caught off guard, or I wanted to believe that it was such a poor strategy.
I wish I could see his chart because I would guess that number 1, he has a lot of line 1s in other places in his chart. And number 2, he probably has a defined ajna because you don't. So I often say this, like you're actually not designed to think. So in the way that we know thinking, as in this logical process. And we were just talking about this morning with Taylor and another friend of mine. So the defined ajna thinks in process. So they are like, and then this, and then this, and then this. And the way their brain works is it's constantly running the 1s and the 0s. So I'm always saying, if you're going to meditate with a defined ajna, then you need to like either do TM or Vedic meditation. You need a mantra because you need to give the puppy a toy. Otherwise, it's never going to stop because it doesn't stop. It won't stop. Whereas for the undefined head and ajna like you, it's more the channel. So if someone says, here are your notes or read this, you're like, I can't do that. Like, what do you mean? But put you on the spot and say, hey, can you talk about that thing or ask you a question? You're like, boom, I'm all day, sister. Like, because the undefined ajna is literally constantly channeling information. So we can't think in this logical way, but we think way out of the box because we're borrowing from everybody else. So often when you have in a business partnership, it's really, so Taylor has the defined ajna. It's really powerful to have one of both, of either, because, or one of both, because one of you is thinking in this and it's fixed. So they think in a really fixed way. So they're not going to think over this way. And you're like, but you could do it this way and this way and this way. And he's just like, could you? And you're like, but can't you see that? No, he can't, because this is the way he thinks. And there's not anything right or wrong, but he's also going to be ahead of the game. So when he walks into a room with a defined ajna, because of the way they think, like we're going along for the ride. We're taking everything in. We're amplifying it. We're like, ooh, that's a good idea. Oh, yeah, I like that. And maybe we're like, ooh, if you put this with that, Whereas they're literally 7 years down the track. They've built the whole system. They know the marketing plan, and step by step, it's already in their head.
Oh, yeah.
So when you have one of each in business, it's incredibly powerful because, having the open head in Ajna, like constantly channeling information, and you can bring like the weirdest things together. Like, oh, that's a pattern. I can see how that goes together. And then the defined Ajna, like there's so many steps ahead of everybody else's thinking. They've got it all worked out. The structure is done. And then effectively whatever we bring just fits into the structure, So I bet any money that he's got a defined
I would
Ajna.
too, because that is like you just described him. He is like so far down the road, has sorted things out, and he's letting me in on the secret along the way. Like as much as I can process, but he just wants to keep me out there, like you said, amplifying and putting out the signal and channeling whatever's coming in.
Yeah. And it's funny because I feel really similar with T, and it's so cool because like sometimes like she'll be explained, and just recently we've had all these massive improvements in a lot of the back end of the business. And I was asking her a question, and she's like, oh, I haven't even showed you any of the new stuff. I'm like, oh no. So then she sat there for like 2 hours going through all of this stuff. And I'm like, that's amazing. But trying to get my head around the level of detail of how all of these things fit together, I'm like, whoa, because the undefined Ajna is like, and being an MG, I'm like, where's the fastest road here? Yeah. Like I don't need point. I'll take A and I'll take like W. I don't need all this stuff here. So that defined Ajna, like hearing them talk through it all, you're like, whoa, that's a lot. And how all that fits together, my brain just doesn't work that way. And again, how cool is that? Because as a dyslexic kid, I thought I was broken forever. I didn't even read like a proper book cover to cover until I was 30. Yeah. And then when I started to realize, oh God, like most dyslexics are also genius. It's just that we process information differently. And all of a sudden I realized I could listen to books, and I'm highly auditory and I'm a visual learner. So I'm a visual modeler. I can watch someone do something and then I can do it as good as them just by watching. But again, it's this process of, wow, if I actually had the guidebook from the word go, I would never have thought I was stupid, because that's just the way my brain works. It's the way I learn, or that's the way I am in the world. I can build things that people couldn't even fathom because of the way I'm designed and because of the way I learn. Again, learning as a line 3, I'm like, yeah, of course I'm a line 3, because anything that I learn through experience, I'm good at. Like I've gone to a very high level in sport. Again, even to this day, and it's still a sport I do to this day, if I think about, it's equestrian sport, so dressage. I evented when I was younger, but then it hurts too much to come off. And I think about, and this is training like elite athlete horses to the highest possible level. Even to this day, I'm like, how exactly did I do that? I'm not entirely sure, because it all comes through the experience. It's through the knowing, not the thinking, not the trying to work it out. It's like all of a sudden I can feel, right, we're at that point. So now we introduce this next thing.
That's interesting, because I play a lot of golf, and some, guys I play with, whether they're better than me or not, some of them are just like so technical, and they're saying all these things and they're giving these cues. And I'm like, you're fucking me up. Like, I don't know how I swing. I know some of the things of the golf swing, but I'm decent enough. And it's like, but I couldn't teach someone. I know that. Like, I couldn't tell you what you're really doing wrong. I don't really have an eye for it.
Yeah.
I know how it feels when I hit it right.
Exactly. And I think so often, again, so then you just want to ask yourself, like, reverse engineer. What did I do then? What did I do then that I didn't do before?
Yeah.
Because so often, and again, we're going to be more and more like this. We're going to be more and more these feeling beings that are feeling our way through things, to the point that we're going to realize we actually don't need the mind to understand anything. For some reason, I've decided to go and study the Tao Te Ching. And like lesson number 1 is like, the more you know, the less you know.
Oh, yeah.
The more you language something, the less you understand it, the more access you have to the magic. And I'm like, yeah. And I feel this is this big shift that we're going through now, where we not only are fundamentally changing, but we're going to have to give up this whole thinking thing. Because It's the clunky, old school way of doing things. You know, even the subconscious mind and all the conditioning gets overridden by frequency, by what you're feeling. Like, yes, it's also informing your frequency, but it can be overridden. Like, you don't have to do the work. And I don't know about you, but the people in my like world industry, everyone's just addicted to shadow work. And like, I'm like, guys,
I've been there. Fuck, it's exhausting.
And like, you're not doing yourself any good being there 80% of the time. Like, spend 10% on your shadow for sure, because it needs to be integrated.
Mm-hmm.
You need to see it, you need to accept it, and then you need to integrate it. But if you spend more time than that, then you're just going to attract more of it. You know, this is not the work. The work is living. The work is being you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, again, that's where we're moving to. We need to understand that hustle culture. If you hustle, then you'll just call in more hustle. You're going to call in the hustle path. But if you relax, you chill out. Like for me, my book, I constantly just remind myself of my book and that path. Like, that's how easy it gets to be when you're not attached, when you don't try and take control, when you actually just sit back and follow your strategy and authority and, you know, say the thing when your authority or when your voice says to say the thing. And I think the other thing with human design and what that my book taught me is the friend that recommended me, as soon as she told me, I'm like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you not taking this opportunity? Like, the universe wouldn't have brought it if it wasn't there for you. And she's like, no, I'm not ready. I haven't been in my experiment long enough. And I'm like, all right, sweet. But I'm not going to do that, even though my ego might be saying, what are you doing? You know, like, that's the whole point. We have to take our hands off the wheel.
Which is what you did as you invited other people in, these teachers,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And so ultimately it's just this, like, just learning to feel our way through life, like be in our being. And again, from my perspective, we talk about it all the time, but that 3-5 in me, I'm like, so what's the practical way I be that? I do that. Like, that's what I get really obsessed with, because if we can't make something simple or practical, then people won't integrate it. And I really feel like that's this whole being piece, and receiving is a really, really big part of where the world's going now.
Well, and then what you're wanting to do, I know you're wanting to take human design from where it is currently and make it a household name, and to take it out of the woo, because I hope people understand listening today, like there's so much, there's beauty in simplicity in just trying it. And I've heard you say this a number of times, just try it.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's helpful. Is it helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. Then dig a little deeper.
Exactly. It's an experiment.
And so what's that look like for you? Like how are you wanting to grow it? And maybe that's the wrong question to ask you. Just like, I don't know. I'll know when I know. And I'll just keep following the energy.
Yeah. And so I love what you just said. So my ego goes, oh, well, I would love to get it into schools. We'd love to get it into corporate. But the honest truth, I'm now at this point where I know better than that. The mission is to take it mainstream. And it's funny. It's like the opportunities that show up, we're like, whoa, this is taking it mainstream. Like this little side business that just happened in 24, 48 hours, like it's got me onto some podcasts that would never talk about human design, but they're like, this thing's hilarious.
Oh.
So I would never have thought that by making a funny little side business would be a way to take it mainstream. But straight away, I'm like, God, this is already going mainstream. So again, all I need to do is have the intention. All I need to do is, my role is to say, right, universe, I want to write a book. I want to take human design mainstream. I want human design in education. And like, it's already happening. Even if it's not directly me that's doing it, there's members of our community, there's members of human design communities everywhere that are already doing all of these things. So I don't have to be the hero. You know, I think the big part of, again, a conversation we were having this morning is like, we are moving out of the guru time. We are moving away from the guru. That is not a thing anymore.
No.
And the further we get away from that, the more we understand that we are the guru.
I was going to say, yeah, we are.
So I don't need to be the hero that takes it mainstream. If I put that intention out there, then yes, my work will all be driven in that direction, but so will every single person that ever listens to anything of mine or reads anything of mine, they're, energetically embedded with this mission to take it mainstream, so it's inevitable.
It is. And I love that it's been coming up a lot for me lately. It's this whole idea. We're taught to have a goal and then have a strategy on how to get to that goal. And let's say we actually get to the goal, which we generally don't. It usually ends up being something else. But when we look back, the path is never at all what we envisioned it to be. And I think where you're speaking to about the book and with bringing this mainstream, it's you created something, having fun, entertaining yourself, and that became a portal to have it become more mainstream. It's like, you might have never thought, maybe you thought that. And if you did, it would have been a dud because it doesn't have the right energy.
Exactly.
You spoke the intention and then just letting the universe and your inner guidance just follow that. And it's the same thing you were talking about earlier too. It's just like that, like getting out of the way, setting the intention, being in devotion to that and being true to that, and then just watching it unfold. And it is amazing when we are in that energy that so much stuff happens. It happens on a grander scale than we thought. It happens way easier. It was some way that we would have never in a million years imagined. And that's the piece, I hope, for me, that gets me out of the working on the trust and getting into the knowing.
And like, you can never know what the path is going to look like. No. And so often when I remember the early days of my business, I'm like, right, I need to get on podcasts. I need to meet people. I need to network. And I swear I did it for like 6 months. I'm like, oh, this is shit. Like, I do not, like the introvert at networking events. I'm like, okay, I'm out.
Gross. Yeah.
And honestly, the things, like the people I call friends, like I've got two of my friends are literally entrepreneurs I've followed for years. I've studied with them. I've done all this stuff like in a big group. And both of them reached out to me and said, hey, you want to grab a coffee? Oh, okay. Yeah. And now like someone I've followed for years, I don't know if you know Lee Harris.
Don't know.
So huge spiritual guy, energy guy, does this energy reading every month, massive global following. Like he reached, I had him on the podcast. We just hit it off. Next thing I know, he's, at my dinner table. We're having lunch. He's on his Australian tour. I get to see him live. And I'm like, you cannot make this stuff happen. You just can't. You've got to let go because the universe is going to put you with the right people at the right time with the right opportunities. But if you think you know better, like that's the thing for me. I laugh at myself like, oh my God, I thought I knew better than the universe. That's hilarious. Like I just got to get out of the way. And again, human design is a practical way to get out of the way because I can go, okay, well, what have I got to do? Follow what lights me up. I've got to sleep on my decisions. I got to be in response. I got to look out for anger and frustration. That's when I'm in my head. Got to look for satisfaction and peace. That's when I'm in my heart. And that's not even getting into any of the deep stuff. I'm like, sweet, all right. That's easy. I can do that. So yeah, I really do believe, and I think that's why we see so many people who have this initial huge success because they don't have any attachment to who they are or who other people think they are. And I definitely know there came a time in my business that I was like, oh, I need to be a certain way because I've crossed some sort of financial line or my audience is at a certain place. And I had like a year of torment. And then I was like, oh shit, these people never came for the neat and tidy, strategic, following the rules. They came for me that calls it as I see it or, has a terrible potty mouth or genuinely like, you're lucky I got makeup on today. This is not a thing I do, So it took me 12 months to come back to this place of going, no, all I have to be is me. And then same thing happens. And we're like at this time and I can feel it coming that we are right on this pivotal point where everything's about to expand, Again, And if I, again, reverse engineer, because I love a reverse engineer, because it gives our brain evidence of what works. What have I done for the last 6 to 12 months? Sweet FA. I've literally just followed what lights me up. You know, I had 6 months where I didn't create anything new for my community. I just showed up. I was just running things live. I was just answering questions in a hot seat. Then all of a sudden I got lit up. I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this. I have to build that. I'm fascinated by presence. I'm like, did you know you can access da-da-da? And I just started sharing it. And now I've got this secret podcast because, again, all my friends would say, I just wait for your voice texts. And I'm like, but they're long and boring. And they're like, no, they're amazing. I'm like, I wonder if I could turn that into a podcast, a secret podcast. So now we've got a little secret podcast behind a paywall. Of course, it grew so fast overnight. And it's like I'm just talking to my best friend. And the stuff, half the time I'm like, is this for me or is this for you? Because like I have therapy sessions. I had one episode on there that's like, I'm even afraid to post this was the title. And it was talking about the narcissistic trigger, the abuse trigger in me having to deal with a certain situation. And again, that version of me that got stuck for a year was like, oh, don't be like, no one wants to hear that shit, Emma. Like, shut up. Like, get out of your ego. It's my ego telling me I'm in my ego. People are like, I literally invest in this, in you, because you tell me about your experiences, raw and real and what works, and you're authentic and you're true. And I was like, oh yeah, it's again, just come back to being Emma. And again, I just want to finish on the thing that people say to me is like, I just want to have your confidence. I'm like, I am not like a fundamentally confident person. But the one thing I've learned in the last like 8 years with human design is that I've just got to be me. Okay, that's easy. I'm the most confident person in the world because that's all I have to do is just show up and be me. Like, how easy is that?
I have a friend, Chase, who likes to say, be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think, when I think about those times when my life was the easiest, it was like, I was just me. I'm sure there was some really thin mask on there, but largely it was, sub-perceptible. And I was just me and it was so easy. And those other times when I feel like I need to show up, I need to be this guy. And it's like, it gets so wonky.
Yeah.
And all right. This has been amazing. By the way, anytime whenever you do your US trip, like you got to come back on.
Amazing.
This has been so fun. I'm sure a lot of people are asking, how can they work with you?
So I've got a community, HDX, which is our collective. So it's all the information, all the knowledge I've ever created. So you can come along and join the community. But really the best way to find me is the book, the podcast, so Human Design Podcast. Please go check out Human Design Unhinged because if nothing else, it's going to give you a really good laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
And Instagram, the Human Design Coach. Like you can come and check it out. And because I'm a manifesting generator like you, there is so many different ways that you can work with us. You can just get we do like a long PDF that outlines your whole chart, to being on retreat with me, mastermind with me, work one-on-one with me, all sorts of things. Because, I'm an MG. I have to have all the options. So, lots of places.
Awesome. Thanks so much, God. Hilarious and fun. This was like so much fun. I mean, awesome. I don't know how long we went for, but it felt, I could talk another 3 hours. Yeah, that was amazing.
It was so cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for being here.